Hello, second graders. So this video is going to be a walkthrough of pages 302 and 303 in your math journal, okay, for 8.8. Once you're open up to those two pages and you have your math journal and a pencil ready to go, we can get started. So the first thing is the step in. As usual, you don't have to write anything down, but just answer the questions to yourself as I ask them, okay, and follow along. So let's get started. A farmer collects 126 eggs on Monday and 54 eggs on Wednesday. 126 on Monday, 54 on Wednesday. Okay, so picture that in your head. Do you think the difference is greater or fewer than 50? How did you decide? So remember, when we're trying to find the difference between two numbers, that will make this our total, and that means we're taking away 54 to find that other part. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to think to yourself, to turn on your estimating brain and to think to yourself, is the difference going to be greater or fewer than 50? Go ahead. Okay, are you ready? So I didn't give you that long because remember our estimating brains have to be something that we can do in a snap. So I'm going to tell you what I did, and it may not be what you did, but that's okay. So what I did is I looked at 126 and I found the nearest 10, the nearest decade number to 126, which is 130. Okay? So if in my head I made, okay. In my head, I made the total part boxes. Okay, and I put 130 in the total. And then I found the nearest decade number to our one part, which is 54. And so the nearest 10 would be 50. And then I subtracted those two numbers. The reason I did that is because those 130 and 50 are way more friendly than 126 and 54. But it's still pretty close. So 130, take away 5 groups of 10, I know in a snap is 80. And 80 is quite a bit bigger than 50, right? 80 is 3 groups of 10, 30 more than 50. So I am pretty confident that if we have 126 and 54 and we find the difference between those, it's going to be fewer than 50 it's going to be greater than 50, because 130 and 50 is 80 difference. Okay? Does that make sense? I found the nearest decade numbers and then I subtracted those friendly numbers. And then the difference was 80, which is a lot greater. Okay, let's move on. So Brady uses blocks to figure out the difference. So he's using blocks to figure out the actual difference. No more estimating anymore. So he's trying to find the difference between 126 and 54. So let's take a look at his work. He has 126 here, but he is going to have to do some trading to be able to take away the 54. So he started off with 126 and he went over here and look, he still has 126, doesn't he? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 125, 126. And now in a snap, he can take away his 54. Okay, so what steps did he follow? He followed the regrouping steps, trading in that 100 block for 10 tens blocks, right? And then all he had to do for the final step was cross out his 54. How many more eggs were collected on Monday than Wednesday? So that's saying, what is the difference between 126 and 54? I'll give you a second to solve for that. What is the difference? All you have to do is count what's left, right? Are you ready? Let's count together now. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 71, 72. And then this is the equation you could write to solve, to match that, to solve for 72. Okay? So you didn't have to write anything down there, but I hope you followed along with me because that's going to help you out so much in the next few pages. So let's look at the step up. Number 1, write the number of tens and ones that are left. Cross out the blocks to help. Then write the difference. So they gave us the equation, 127, take away 35. And lucky for us, they gave us the starting blocks and they regrouped for us, okay? So all that you have left to do is take away your 35. Cross out your 3 groups of 10 and your 5 ones, and then count what's left over, okay? You do that for A and B. You do that for the blue blocks. Over here on the red blocks, draw pictures to show how to regroup, then complete the equations. So over here with the red blocks, you have your starting blocks, but you need to regroup them yourself, okay? So why don't I do the first one with you, and then you can do the second 2 on your own. If you don't want to do the first one with me, if you think you can do it, you can skip ahead in the video, but let's do the first one. So we have 114. So I'm going to regroup this 100s blocks for 10 tens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, but I can't forget my tens and ones that were already there. So I need 14 more. Okay, now I'm ready to go. Now I can start subtracting. So now I need to take away 62. I'm going to take away 6 groups of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 groups of 10 taken away, and 2 ones. 1, 2. And now I can see what I have left. How many groups of 10? 5 groups of 10. How many ones? 2 ones. So 114 minus 62 is 52. Okay, number 3. Complete each equation. You can use blocks or make notes on page 318 to help. So this time, they keep taking a little bit away each time, don't they? This time they don't give you the blocks to start out with. But if you want to try it in your head, you can do that. Or if you want to write it down on page 318, you can do that too. 318 is just a blank piece of paper. You can rip it out even if you want and put it right next to your journal so that you can use that to draw just like you did up here. Okay? And the step ahead, I'll read it to you. It says, read the number of hundreds, tens, and ones. Then write the same value with tens and ones only. The same value with tens and ones only. So it's asking you to regroup, but in words. So let's do A. We can do A together. So 100, 2 tens, 5 ones. Shows the number as, so we have 100, 2 tens, and 5 ones. Is the number 125. I'm going to write that right to the side to keep myself organized. So I know my ones never have changed when I've been doing this, okay? Up here, my ones were the same. Up here, my ones were the same. Over here, the ones are the same. So my ones are going to stay the same. So I'm just going to put 5 ones. And then, right, so far we have 2 tens, but if we're going to trade that 100 block in, we're going to have to add how many more tens to that? 10, right? Because a 100 blocks has 10 tens. So looky here. I'm just going to have to add 10 to 2. Our 10 hundreds blocks, our 10 tens blocks plus the 2 we already had is how many? 12 tens. What do you notice about the way the number was written originally and how many tens and ones it has? 125, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 5. Remember that pattern when you do B. Okay? Good luck, second graders.